Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the Grumpy Gaming Weekend podcast on the 18th of May. Today we have no guest. It's a little bit of a weird one today. This is actually a little bit pre-recorded. I know we're not allowed to talk about time jumps because Elliott will go off on one.
Pre-recorded.
But this is a little bit pre-recorded because Taylor will be away.
I'm going on vacation.
Where are you going? Why are you leaving us? What are you doing?
I'm going to the Netherlands as a graduation gift.
I'm so jealess.
I'm really excited. I'm leaving in 2 days, so we're pre-recording because I will not be here. So next week you're gonna get some extras that aren't me.
Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of a different episode today because obviously we usually talk about news and gaming news, but we've just recorded a podcast, so we've kind of just talked about all the news. So we're gonna do a little bit different, and I thought, what a good excuse, what a good reason to do get to know us a little bit better. For those of you who have found this on YouTube, not through Twitch, you might not know as much about us as other people do. So I thought, what a great excuse to get to know the co-hosts a little bit better. So we're going to kick off with some origin stories. Why are we even here? Why did we choose to put our faces on the internet? How did we get started? Elliott, why don't you kick us off? How did you get started with content creation and why?
Oh, so I actually started streaming online probably like 10 years ago. I streamed on a website called Blog TV.
Blog TV?
It was live video blogging.
Never even heard of it. Never even heard
exactly.
of it.
It is we're into the historic annals of the internet now.
So you're like the veteran. You're like the most experienced out of all of us.
Well, so basically I did it for probably like six or 7 months, and like, to be fair, I got reasonable amount of success doing it. Like, I was picking up audience, stuff like that. But obviously at the time was around when I was at college, before uni, obviously UK, so college then uni. And I basically turned around and was like, no one's ever going to make a job out of recording yourself on the internet live and talking to people and content creation. It will never happen. Because bearing in mind, this was also like early YouTube days, like back when YouTube barely existed.
So you're saying like, you could have been PewDiePie, but you weren't.
I could have been PewDiePie.
The British PewDiePie.
A less Swedish PewDiePie. Yeah, so I basically was like, yeah, like, it's fun and all, but I need to like start working on other things because this isn't going anywhere. And 10 years later, now I'm trying to make it work again. So excellent decision making, as always.
So what did you do back then? Like, what kind of content did you make?
So like I said, it was like video blogging on. So it was live. So basically, you went live, just had a webcam up, and as your chat, like, kind of, it was just basically just chatting streams. What is now just chatting streams on Twitch.
So no gaming.
So no. So literally, it was just a screen up. You could like co-stream people, so they could get their webcam feed like as like a B-roll on yours, and you could talk to them about stuff, or you just talk directly through with chat. To be honest, at the time, it seemed like kind of the be-all and end-all of my internet experience back then. But yeah, it was kind of just literally just chatting, webcam, chat, talking it out. So I think I was live like almost every day for like 2 or 3 hours chatting to people, and then gave it up. I gave it up because you can't make money on the internet. It's not a thing.
Yeah, it's true. You can't. I mean, ask anybody on Twitch or YouTube. You can't make money anymore. So how did you get started with Twitch? When did you start
that? So I really got into Twitch kind of like a year ago, I think. I made affiliate in November. But I basically, when I play video games, I yell at the game. I talk to the NPCs as if they can hear me. I narrate what's happening. I do voices for characters. I was doing that before I was ever hitting the live button.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend about it because we were sat playing. We're playing the co-op game of some description, and I was like talking to the characters and stuff, and he was just like, "Why didn't you just do this and broadcast it to people rather than sitting on your own talking to a video game?" So it was more just dealing with the fact that I'm clearly insane. So like, if I do it on the internet, this is normal. So. So I started doing that about a year ago, made affiliate in November. Back then I was playing like through the Batman Arkham games. I basically started off doing what I'm now doing my Fridays, the Finish It Friday stuff. It was just like, I have this extensive library that I needed some kind of incentive to finishing off the game. So I was like, I'll just go live, do it on Twitch. And that was really it from there. I flip-flopped between different games and variety streaming, and I tried out streaming Dota for a while, which, unless you are an incredible Dota player or you are incredibly entertaining, not even worth it.
Yeah, the
Dota
MOBAs
community
are very
is not
saturated.
forgiving.
So what is like your goal with stream? Do you have like a plan? Do you just do it for fun? Like, what's your What's your ambition with streaming?
I would love to be able to actually like get to a point where I do it full time. Especially like I'd love to have a space that's not my bedroom that I can stream from.
Yeah.
So if I get to a point where, because I know we have like the same idea on this front, like if I had some kind of office space and other people that I like worked with and we did some stuff together and all of that stuff, that's where I want to go with it. And if that works out, amazing. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'd love to build a career with it. As it stands, I'm trying to finish off uni. If I can finish off uni first, then kind of focus on that alongside other things. And if it just takes off, it takes off.
So what do you take at uni? I obviously know, but what is it?
Yeah, what
Tell
do you
everyone
study?
else.
So I study aerospace engineering. I'm a third year aerospace engineering student specializing in space flight. So,
I'm surprised, I'm
I
surprised
didn't
you
know
haven't...
the space flight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised you haven't played any like space engineers or anything on stream. Anything like that,
Well, yeah, so I've played Kerbal Space Program. The problem is, so like I was saying, like most of like my Twitch brand is me yelling at games, talking to NPCs, and stuff like that. Me playing Kerbal is very like meticulous and methodic, and like I'm going through.
You're like, no, it's 1 millimeter out. It needs to be right there.
Well, you can actually, so with Kerbal, like the whole point of it is you're on this planet Kerbal. You can get a mod that changes it to all the dimensions of Earth, and you can basically do simulated flights. And apparently, the physics in it is pretty spot on.
I've never played Kerbal. I should.
It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of kind of messing up, leading to exploding spaceships, leading to okay, maybe we do this differently. But it is crazy fun. Like, it is a lot of fun if you get into it, but the learning curve is very steep. Obviously, I have a slight advantage because, like, at uni, I do things like orbital mechanics, so I already kind of understand how to do kind of like your takeoff velocities into your like different transfers and all that kind of things. I won't bore you with way too much space talk.
I was gonna say, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I haven't played Kerbal is because it does look very intense. I'm not gonna lie. But Taylor, what about you? How did you get started streaming? What happened? Tell us the story.
Hold on, my computer just glitched.
We saw a little drop.
Yeah, sorry. So I got a PC as a gift from my dad because I always played console games, and I kind of took a hiatus when I went to university. Like, I went to school, I didn't play any games because I wasn't at home. I only really brought like a Wii U with me to play with my friends, like couch games. And so I was given a PC in September of this year and started playing a few games on Steam. And then really was looking for like a community. So I was like researching games that I wanted to purchase. I came to Twitch, started like watching games that I was interested in. I'm really into like strategy, simulation, and management games. So it was fun to be able to watch other people, to get tips on how to play the game and all that. And then I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can make friends. Like, I have all this stuff.
That was the first mistake. I can do it. Anyone can do this. See, no problem.
It wasn't that, but like, it wasn't that I thought it was easy or anything, but I was like, I am a mature student. I went to university 4 years later than everybody else. I also was nearing the end of my 5-year degree because I did 2 degrees at the same time. So I had to overload and take an extra year of school to be able to complete a whole second degree. And all my friends had left. So I was kind of at this point where I was like, I have all this free time. I'm playing video games and I'm kind of sitting at home alone. And it like really pushed me to go out and connect with other gamers, which I thought was like really interesting and like really fun. I really like Twitch for that reason. So like, unlike the boys here, like, I'm not in the grind to make this a career. Like, I do it for the socialization, I do it for the fun, I do it for entertainment. Obviously I love building it up and like really working with you guys and doing all that stuff. But like, I mean, one day if it was a job and that happened, that'd be amazing. Cause like, who doesn't want to play video games all day, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I also do have a business degree, and I have a certificate in human resources, and I have a humanities degree as well. So I'm looking at doing diversity, inclusion, and HR work as a full-time job. So this summer I'm taking 4 months off because I've always overloaded in school and done school through the summer and all that. But yeah, so I'll be looking like in what's after August, September.
I had to think then. I was like, wait.
Yeah, I kind of went, oh no.
Idiot, of course it's
May.
this.
We're in May. I keep saying March. And I'm like, it's not March. It's May.
No, it's May.
But like, yeah. So in September, I'll be looking for full-time work and getting into that whole part of life. But for the summer, like really just having fun, playing games, doing a few trips, off to Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still jealous.
Yeah.
Still jealous. Yeah. But no, it's going back to what you were just saying about how, you know, we're kind of trying to do this for a job. I didn't actually start that way. I started off completely the opposite. So when I originally very first thought about doing any kind of content, I was originally going to start YouTube rather than Twitch. And so I'd been on YouTube for years. I'd watched YouTube content every day for probably around 8 years. I'd watched Co-optional Podcast. I'd watched Angry Joe, Jim Sterling, all of these like sort of gaming review channels. And it became like a daily routine for me. Like I would wake up in the morning, I'd have coffee and breakfast, and I would watch some YouTube while I was getting on with my uni work or whatever like that. And so I'd been doing it for so long that I was kind of the same as you. I was like, I want to do this. You know, like I watched all these videos of these people having these opinions, and quite often I agreed with them, but also quite a lot I'd be like, yeah, but what about this? What about this? And so I kind of wanted to add my own voice to things. And I never really had the confidence to start it. I always, in the back of my mind, was always like, you know, you won't be good at it. Nobody will watch it. Everyone will think you're stupid. Like, it won't work. Like, why bother? And it came to, it was a couple of years ago now. It was a year and a half ago. And I just bit the bullet and was like, screw it, let's do it. Like, why not? What have I got to lose? You know, if it doesn't work, whatever. So I originally started doing some sort of scripts for some YouTube videos, and I started to look at some games that I could do some YouTube content around. And then I realized that like it's really, really tough. It's really tough to be on camera playing video games for YouTube. And so I was trying to like figure it out in my head, and I just started around the same time to start watching Twitch. And so I'd started to like get into Twitch. I was still very new to Twitch, but I started getting into it, and I was kind of like, I don't know, people on Twitch seem to have this, like they're talking to their chat, right? And so they're having this interaction with their chat. And I thought, well, what a good way to make some friends who I can talk about video games with. So, because one of the reasons why I didn't start YouTube years ago, I wanted to do a podcast. And one of the reasons I couldn't was because I didn't have any like friends that I could talk about video games with. Like all my friends were either non-gamers or, you know, a little bit older or work colleagues or whatever. So I didn't really have any like current friends that I could do podcasts about gaming with. And so I thought, well, if I come to Twitch, I can just make some friends and we can chat about video games, you know, which is what I wanted. So I wanted in the first place. So we started doing that. And I did it for 2 weeks. I did streams for 2 weeks, and I streamed to nobody. I had 0 viewers for 2 weeks. And then life got in the way, and all of this stuff happened. Life got in the way. So I basically stopped for 6 months. And then I all of a sudden found myself with like a load of spare time. I had all the spare time on my hands, and I was like, I'm going to get back into that streaming because that was fun and I should get back into it. But the second time I came back into it, I don't know what it was, but this time it felt different. I was so like adamant that I was going to do well with it. And so we came back. I started to watch my own VODs back, started to, you know, actually like think about like, why am I streaming? Like, what's the point? And honestly, within like a month or two, when I started to gain like a bit of a community, a bit of an audience, and I started to stream, I started streaming World of Warcraft, and I started doing gold making because honestly, just because it was something really easy for me to play that I could, you know, I've been playing WoW for 12 years. It was super simple. Like I knew it like the back of my hand. And so I started streaming that, and I started to gain this community, and people started to like sort of believe in me. I know that sounds really cheesy, but people started to be like, actually, no, we really like your streams. And so I thought like, maybe I could do this as a job, you know, maybe I could. And yeah, it kind of spiraled out from there. Like after that, I formed a DNA with Echo and Fido. We found a couple of people, so we formed a Discord community together, which we're still running right now. And then, you know, that was about a year ago now, and now here we are doing a podcast every week. So that's my intro story. I do definitely want to do this as a career. This is something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. It's not as easy as some people think. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's definitely something that, you know, I could see myself doing. So how did we all meet then? Because we've been doing this now for 6 weeks. How did we all meet? Do we remember?
So I remember because on my third stream, I had like 3 viewers and I was playing The Sims, and all of a sudden I'm getting texts to my phone being like, do you realize you have 60 people watching you right now? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm texting back and forth on my phone and be like, what do you mean? And because I was so new, I didn't have like proper alerts. I didn't really understand how Twitch worked. You had rated me like your whole viewers.
Yeah.
And everyone was sitting there and my chat's going and I'm like, what is happening? What just happened? And I'm pretty sure I was like, thank you for being here, guys. Like, and didn't understand, didn't like get it at all. And it was like such a big deal because you rated me and everyone was so kind from you guys from following me and all that. I hit affiliate before, or sorry, I hit the follows for affiliate before I even had enough stream days.
Yeah.
So I like that was really exciting for me. But then like the reality afterwards of like, oh, you don't just sit at 60 people. That's not normal when you start.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. So like from that point, I obviously came back and like came and started watching your streams. You did like a variety of games that I was interested in, some that you weren't interested in, but I liked your personality so much that I would sit there and hang out and watch you and not necessarily the game you were playing. So I kind of just hung out in your chat all the time and became like an actual fan.
Yeah.
And then from that point, I think we just hanging out, like being in your chat, and then you would come hang out in my stream, and I got to know you that way. I'm talking about Grumpy, by the way, not Elliott. I don't know if I was.
Yeah, I come later on. It's fine.
But yeah. So then I started playing Dead by Daylight. I was playing it on PS4, and then realized, oh no, like you got to play it on PC. It's way easier.
Yeah.
And I was playing that game. Grumpy would hang out with me in my streams when I was playing Dead by Daylight. And then I was like, can you just get the game and play with me already? Like, and so then we started playing together, like forming a friendship over Dead by Daylight. So we would survive with friends, play Dead by Daylight. And then when we would stream, or when Grumpy would stream, Elliott would turn up and chat, hanging out with us, and I'm like, you need to get the game too. I was just like, everybody get the game, play with us, we need friends.
I was pressured into the DB. There was no stream
pressure.
faction. I didn't watch the stream and I was like, oh, Dead by Day looks great. It was literally you guys being like, get the game.
Get the game.
Like,
one of us.
It was just like almost every stream. It was just like, you should get the game. You play with us. It was just like,
yeah. Every time you showed up in chat, I was like,
when you got it
so hard as well.
Like when you finally got it, wasn't that when me and Taylor were kind of having like a little break from it as well? Wasn't that when we were like,
so I got the game. I played with you guys like once, and then you guys were like, I don't know if I'm feeling Dead by Daylight. And I was like, what?
It's always the way.
But you knew Grumpy for a lot longer than I did.
I kind of did at the same time. I didn't. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I tried to just check, but your bot's not on. I followed you.
Yeah.
I think it was like 13 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, we were talking about this. It was back when I was a full-time WoW streamer, so it's when I was streaming WoW
so
5 days a week.
You were streaming WoW like every stream, and I think I was in someone's chat and they raided you, or no, it wasn't. It was actually my current housemate. I was friends with him on Twitch, and I like, you know, when your little friends bit, it's like, oh, they're watching whatever, and I was like, oh, because back then you were Mr. Grumpy Face UK.
Yeah.
I always
Don't
forgot.
remind me. Don't
It
remind
feels
me.
like so long ago. And like at the time, it was when I was kind of first thinking of getting into streaming. It was like literally just before I was going to do it, and I was like, I kind of want to see more British streamers just so I can get an idea of like the times that they're streaming and like kind of how it works with like non-Americans, because obviously there's a hell of a lot of Americans on the website.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because for the times that I hang out online, I only see English people. That's how I met you guys. Like,
yeah, well, a lot of English people stream in the evening now because of what Elliott's saying. You get more of a wider audience if you stream later on at night. To be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I basically saw that, clicked like join. I dropped into the chat. Kind of, there was a bit of a back and forth between him. His username on Twitch is Shin-Chan Dan.
Yeah.
So we were chatting back and forth, and he was like, "Oh, like, how did you know, like, Grumpy Face?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't. Like, I saw you, and like, we got chatting a bit. Like, I really liked the style of your streaming. Also, the other thing, because I was trying to get into it, you've always been like my favorite thing with your brand is that you clearly do a lot of like researching into like how to stream, how to like have an effective overlay, how to have effective like
which
everything into it.
Anyone who's watched my stream, you wouldn't think that I have. By the way, you wouldn't think that I do, but I do. A lot.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's good quality.
Yeah, I really appreciate your quality. That was something that like definitely brought me to your stream, and like the ability you both have to like talk to even nobody being there, or like your whole chat, you know, like something I really admired and then tried to apply on myself, because like I obviously don't have the same following as you guys, but like
Not yet.
I
Takes
mean, I
time.
think like the three of us have been, well, obviously Grumps is bigger than both of us still, but like especially like us two, we've been growing, like, because I've seen your channel like is growing really well. I've had like a lot of growth like over the last couple of months, although Bloodborne did a hell of a lot for that. 2019 and you're playing Bloodborne for the first time ever. You've never seen anything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I got so many people just dropping in and being like, wait, you've never played the game, you don't know the system, like you barely know the controls. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to learn it as I go. And you get people being like, oh boy, and they're just like, buckle in. And like, so that did like really well. But yeah, so like I followed you, and then whilst you're playing World of Warcraft, I drop in every now and then, but it was a bit like World of Warcraft really wasn't my gig. I'd played it since vanilla, and I'd basically gone off of it, so like the content wasn't really for me, but we'd have good chats. And then you went variety, and I was just like, oh boy. I was like, because I like being in there already. Now that you're playing all sorts of games, and like you've spoken about it on stream, I don't know whether we've ever done it on YouTube, where you said like going variety, obviously like you take a big hit in viewership and engagement and all that stuff. And basically I'm the opposite of like the average audience. Like the minute you went variety, I was like, cool, I'm just going to be in every stream. And like from that point on, I was like, almost every time I could pick up on your streams, I was there. And then obviously Taylor managed to force you to play Dead by Daylight, and then in turn you guys forced me to play Dead by Daylight. Next thing you know, we're co-streaming with each other. Like we were chatting outside of streams. Like
well,
Discord
I only came to your
like...
stream when you were playing Final Fantasy 7. That was when 8. Final Fantasy 8 you were playing. And I think that was the reason why.
You were in some of the Final Fantasy 7 things, I think, because I played 7 before I played 8. And I finished up. I can't remember. I think you might have seen like just the tail end of 7, and then like you were really there when I was playing 8.
Yeah. Because that's what I say, the draw was the game for me, because I was streaming 7 at the time, and I was like, oh, another Final Fantasy streams, and then it was good. But yeah, no, it's funny we talk about variety streaming, because we're all three of us are variety, and I started off being I played WoW for about 5 or 6 days a week, depending on what my job would allow, and then I did Sunday Fun Day, which was Sunday was always a variety day for me, and I transitioned from that into full variety. And the thing is I'd always said that I was going to do that. Like I was totally honest with my WoW following. I was like, look guys, one day I'm going to be variety. This is just while I learn. The only reason I picked WoW was because it was an easy game that I could learn how to stream with. So I was always honest, like I'm going to be variety one day. But you're absolutely right. The transition from being a WoW streamer into variety definitely is tough, and I've had it even again because I used to do Sims Sunday. Every Sunday we play Sims, and that was by far my most successful streams every week. I'd get lots of people tuning in for the Sims. I don't know what it was about the Sims, people used to love it, and I have recently stopped playing that because I just got bored of it. And so because I've stopped playing that, my numbers have taken hits, and it is really tough being a variety streamer. It's I think a lot of people advise against it, and I think this is why, is because if you want numbers, if you want success, variety is a very, very difficult way to go. But at the same time, knowing what I want to achieve, which is, honest discussions about video games, I can't do that with the same game every day. So for me, it's a natural fit. But we're all variety. Like, we're talking about growth and stuff. It's slow. It's slow on Twitch. It's hard. Variety streaming is not easy at all. But that's how we all met, and now we're all doing a podcast together every week. And we're doing more than that, aren't we? We're working on things behind the scenes.
Yeah. There's other things we've got going. Me and Taylor will one day play Portal.
It's honestly, it's just like my chirp is like really hindering like my schedule. So like in 1 week I'll be back, and then we'll be playing Portal. We'll also have oh my god, why am I blanking on the game name? Grumpy.
Plague Innocence.
Plague Innocence. Thank you. I was gonna say Innocence Rage. But
We've
that's
still got a Stardew Valley kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, we haven't. We should really crack down on a schedule, like a team schedule.
Yeah. Well, this is what we're all kind of working on at the moment. I mean, you're running the Instagram. We've just set up a Twitter. We've set up a Twitch channel for the podcast. It's kind of all stuff that we're all working on together behind the scenes. But this is what, we've talked about this before. I was talking about this on stream the other day about how, like, I have this vision, I have this plan of working together with other content creators on a regular basis, and hopefully in the same location. Like my dream with my content creation career is to open up an office, have an office somewhere where I can collaborate with other content creators regularly, and run it like a business almost. And so this is kind of what we're doing now, but without the office. You know, we're kind of sort of substituting it for the internet. But yeah, no, it's all going really, really well, isn't it? Sorry, I think you were going to say something, Taylor, and I completely cut you off.
I don't remember.
Okay, can't have been
It's
that important then.
No.
But yeah, scheduling
no.
for me has always been like a real, just because I go through like waves. There was times, so like when I first started playing Bloodborne, I played it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I did 5-hour streams at around the same time, which obviously I think one of the biggest things for consistency, at least, especially consistency of audience, is being around at the same time of the day.
Yeah.
So I found like, especially like within the UK, the early afternoon seems to work for me pretty well. It also means I've got actually quite a lot of Australian viewers since I've been using that time. But yeah, like consistency doing the same days all the time has always been really bad for me. That's why I'm trying to. Well, I kept trying to be like, cool, I'm just going to stream like 5 days a week. And if you go straight into that, it's so easy just to start losing days.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's why
like
I'm
when I
down
was
to
at
3 now.
when I was at university too, it was very easy for me because I only had like 3-hour classes 5 times a week. So like that's only 15 hours a week of really having to be somewhere. And so I was completely open. So like I was streaming like during the day. So my streams would start at 10 a.m. for me and then end at 3 p.m. And that really worked for like your time frame because that's when you guys stream. But then like when I come to my own time and I stream like at like 8 p.m. to like let's say like 12 a.m. or whatever, then like nobody's there because all of my friends are like with you guys, right? You're in bed. That's 5 a.m. for you.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't work. So you really do have to be mindful of the time that you stream and stay consistent with your timing for sure. Even if the
100%.
days are a little bit like wonky, like your timing is like really important unless you're like committed to doing like a certain amount of streams on one time of the day and then a certain amount at another time, because if you just throw like that one oddball out at a completely different time frame, it's hard with like a website that really reaches everywhere on the world because everybody is in a different zone, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it knocks your confidence as well a bit because, like, say you're normally streaming like, so I do between 1 and 4 British time. Say like one day you're just like, oh, I'm just going to do an evening because why not? And you're used to having like X amount of viewers. On your random time, you are not going to get the same viewership. Your followers are elsewhere. They're doing other things. Like the time that you've been streaming is the times that they're free.
Yeah.
And you might end up looking at it and misattributing it to be like, well, okay, this was like a worse stream. I'm doing something wrong. And it's literally just because your followers will like, you'll get people like see it and just like the next day or something, they see a VOD up and they're just like, oh, you did one that was really out of nowhere. Like I missed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just,
Which is it's interesting because a lot of people, both viewers and streamers say like, oh, don't worry about the numbers, like don't worry about the numbers. And I hear this. I actually made a YouTube video about this a little while ago. It didn't do that well. But I made a YouTube video about this a little while ago. That you hear this piece of advice all the time. It's like, oh, treat your viewers like a person. Remember, there's a person behind every number, and there is. That's absolutely correct. Every single person who chooses to turn up into your stream, whether they're lurking, chatting, or whatever, they chose your stream, and you should be absolutely grateful for that. But what I will say is every single streamer out there in the world, and anybody who's a streamer and says this is not true, you're lying, will sit there and will look at their numbers, whether that be in the middle of the stream or after the stream. They will look at the numbers, they will look at the average viewer count, because on Twitch, that's the only way you have to measure your success. There's no other way to measure, are you growing or are you shrinking or are you staying the same? Because if your numbers are going up, if your average viewer count is going up, you can safely say that you are attracting more people to your stream or more people are staying. So there's no other way to like gauge how well you're doing. So, and especially with, for anybody who doesn't know, on Twitch, if you want to apply for a partnership status, you have to have 75 average viewers in a month. So it's like, that's a goal for a lot of people. So for people to say like, don't worry about the numbers or don't measure your numbers, it's rubbish. People do. We all do.
Like
Everybody
Twitch.
does. Every streamer does.
Maybe what they mean by that is like, don't be discouraged by a stream that has like half the viewer count because of like factors that are out of your control, because no matter what,
100%.
like you're still putting out content that people could stumble across and then follow you. So maybe that's what they mean by that.
Yeah, I think there's some people that try and oversimplify it and they kind of say like, don't look at your numbers, but like there's a reason Twitch in your creator dashboard there is an analytics part and there is a stream summary.
Exactly.
And it's there for a reason.
They give you the analytics for a reason.
Twitch isn't putting it there to be like, you've only got these numbers, or for other people to just be like, oh my god, look at how good I'm doing. It's there to like if you have a bad stream, look at the stream, watch the VOD, work out, okay, so was this different? Was it a different time of day? Was it a day I don't normally stream? Did I play a different game? Like, there's things
Yeah.
to look at when you're doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
even if you're doing it for fun, like, there's still stuff to look at because you're going to have more fun in more successful streams. Like,
Yeah.
but it's there for a reason.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm starting to really get behind and really enjoy YouTube. I know a lot of people are going the other way. They're starting to really not enjoy YouTube anymore. But this is one of the reasons why I'm really enjoying it, because on YouTube, you have so much analytical data at your fingertips. I mean, I've started using a couple of tools that give you even more, like vidIQ and TubeBuddy. They give you even more, information. But even just with the basic YouTube analytics, you have so much data at your fingertips, like how many people were watching your video, how many people were clicking on your thumbnail, how long were, the average person sticking around for. It's something that we look at even on this podcast, like how many people are sticking around for the entire podcast and things like that, and you get so much sort of feedback with YouTube if you look for it, whereas on Twitch you still get those analytics, but it's not as easy to decipher. Like Taylor was saying, some days you have more viewers than for some reason, and you don't know why. Sometimes you have less viewers and you just don't know why. And it can be for so many different reasons. It might be a convention on, maybe a new game's just come out, so everyone's watching that. Maybe there's a tournament on, who knows?
Maybe you got like a chance of a raid or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's so many factors when it comes to Twitch streaming or streaming on any platform that, it makes it really tough. And especially as a variety streamer, there are people, we've talked about this many times before, there are people that will turn up when Elliott's playing Bloodborne and they're like, yes, this is great, Bloodborne, fantastic. And then Elliott switches over to Stardew Valley and they go, what the hell is this game? This is not Bloodborne, I'm off, see you later. And that's, absolutely fine. We get that. Like, watch what you want to watch. There are so many channels on Twitch, on channels on YouTube that don't watch something you don't want to watch. Like, watch what you want to watch. But it's one of the challenges of being a variety streamer. It's very difficult to keep that number consistent, and it drops and it rises. And the thing is I don't know about you guys, but for me, when the number rises, I always put it down to a fluke. I'm like, maybe it was a fluke. But whenever the number drops, I always blame myself. I'm always like, I must have done something. And it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
You're so cynical.
Yeah. Well, I like the term grumpy.
I do the opposite. If it drops, I'm like, oh, that's just like a one-off. And when it goes up, I'm like, I am the man.
I need some of that. I need some of that optimism in my life.
We should be in the middle somewhere. But...
I feel like you guys are like the top and the bottom. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Wow, phrasing. But yeah, it's.
Oh no.
Wow.
This is also part of our Twitch branding. This happens all the time. God.
It does, out of context. I need to find my t-shirt. I've got a t-shirt that says straight out of context. I need to find it.
Oh no. I do it on the podcast. This is the first time.
This is the first one on the podcast.
This is the first one on the podcast. Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
Guys.
I love it.
Not
No,
what
it's
I
all right.
meant.
People are used to it by now, I'm sure. But no, like, please don't think that we're like complaining when we talk about numbers and things. It's, all content creators, think this way. It's if you're trying to make this a business, even if you're not trying to make this a career, if you're just doing this for fun, you still kind of want to grow. Everyone wants to grow. It's just how it is. And I know there are some people that get really angry when you talk about numbers. Those people, I would say, just calm down. Honestly, like it's every content creator. People say they don't, but they do. We all look at the numbers. We all analyze our streams. We all go, well, that stream was good or that bad, and usually it's down to the viewership number.
And I mean, I think that's kind of common across all three of us. Is we're really big to talk about like common discourse and like critically analyze things and like think about like underlying reasons of why things are the way that they are, and like that's something that I think like actually really links the three of us together. Like we might all have different opinions, but we love to hear the opinions and like really discuss them and see like what other people are thinking. And that's kind of what led us to the podcast too, is like we found each other. We're all really like grounded in that type of thinking and like open-minded as well. So it really like lends itself to doing a podcast that could be potentially interesting because we have a lot of different opinions. We like different games, we like different platforms, we like different things on Twitch. Like we're all so different, but like we all come together and really like discussing it and really like thinking about the underlying things of why things are the way that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said this before, like I really like the dynamic that we have together. Sorry, this is turning into the episode where we all just brag about how great we all are. But no, like I agree. Like we can have a conversation, and this is becoming rare now. I feel on the internet, like we can have a conversation and we can disagree and still be civil about it and still go, okay, well we just disagree. That's life. That's how it is. Whereas I feel like a lot of corners of the internet these days, Twitter, just you can't disagree with anyone anymore without somebody losing their shit or somebody at least taking it as like a personal attack. And this is something that I've always sort of stuck up for, is like you don't have to agree with everything somebody says. Like you can disagree and have different opinions. That's part of being human beings, right? But why don't we go? We got a couple of questions lined up. We got a couple of things that we're just gonna sort of go through and discuss. Again, it's to get to know us a little bit better. If you've never truly gotten to hang out with us on Twitch or whatever like that, this is your opportunity on YouTube to get to know us a little bit better. So we've got some questions coming up. First one, nice and easy. They're all easy questions. So there's no tough ones. Which political affiliation do you have? No, it's not that. What are your favorite games of all time? What are your standout games? Which ones from your childhood or from recently? Like, what do you love? Elliot, kick us off. What favorite games do you have?
I'm first.
Yeah, always.
So I was a huge Legend of Zelda fan as a child. I played from like when they got good. So like Ocarina of Time.
Majora's Mask. Link to the Past was a classic.
And to be fair, I've played some of the classics like as an adult, and yeah, they're brilliant games. But kind of like I played like Minish Cap. I don't know if you've like the kind of more abstract like Game Boy Advance ones. Like I'm a huge fan. My DS is like one of the limited edition Zelda ones from A Link Between Worlds.
Nice.
So I've played Legend of Zelda for a long time. The game that made you come into my stream, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was one of the first games I think I played through. Looking back at it and like with the stuff that, so like, there's a few bits in like Final Fantasy 7 and stuff where like you just hit a wall and it's like real. How I did it as a child, I have no idea.
Yeah, 100% same. So I'm exactly the same as you. My first ever RPG was Zelda: Link to the Past, and my first ever JRPG was Final Fantasy 7. And I completed Final Fantasy 7 and 8 as a child, and I have no idea how. I'm like, I must have used the Game Shark or something. Like I don't know what I did.
I beat the Ruby Weapon as a child.
I just don't. I don't.
How?
I don't know. Happen? I mean, I did that on stream recently, and that was. I mean, I wouldn't say it was horrendously tough if you know what you're doing, if you know the strat, but like, it was still. Yeah, as a child, how the hell did you figure that out? Because we didn't have internet back then.
Yeah, I had dial up. Like, if you wanted to go get tips, it was just like, like, shush, mum doesn't know I'm on here. Like,
yeah, you're just about to be, you're just about to get what you need, and someone rings somebody else, and that's gone.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all just disappeared. Yeah, so like I think that's definitely pushed me into like as an adult the games that like I really enjoy are like very story driven. Like I read a hell of a lot. Like I read a lot of like fiction books, and the kind of books that I'm attracted to are like stories with like real character like arcs and development. And I think video games, like I'm the same. I love games where like you learn more of the character as you go through them, and you kind of you go alongside this character through a journey. So
one thing that I think is really interesting about what separates video games from movies, because they often get like a bit of a comparison, like with movies and video games. But one thing that we don't get in movies that you do get in video games is that you actually play as that character. And so in games where you have really good character development, like The Last of Us, for example, you get this sort of like more of a deeper emotional bond with that character because you've played as them. And I don't think a movie has ever given me the same level of connection with a character, honestly, that a video game has. Again, The Last of Us is the best example of this. Some of the characters in that game, like I feel like I actually know them, and you don't get that with movies. I don't find anyway.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, especially like games where you're trying to make decisions for your character and things like that. Like you start putting, I mean, at least I do, like I put myself in the position of the character, and like we've had this conversation about The Witcher like a ton of times. The decisions you make in The Witcher, like everyone has like a different Geralt, but you're still trying to make the decisions you're making aren't the decisions that necessarily you would make. It's the decisions that your Geralt makes.
Yeah. So which is why I think the Netflix, especially, the Netflix series isn't going to be all that great, because everyone's going to have their own opinion of Geralt, and I think nobody's going to match with that.
I mean, for non-Witcher players, it might be brilliant, but
yeah.
If you go and watch the Netflix series and you're just like, wait, why is he doing this? Like, he would definitely do whatever else. Like, this seems out of character. Because like I've read some of the books, which I suppose are very similar, but you can still kind of impose your own like logic to the decisions that Geralt makes in the book. So like
Well,
you
I
still
mean,
kind of
for
have a
me, the Geralt in the books and the Geralt in the games is very different. Like it feels very different to me. Like I don't know, there's lots of little differences. He's not as likable in the books. I didn't find. I've only read a couple of them.
I think I've only read 2, but I mean that's what I play Geralt very like look, I don't help for free. It's basically like my Geralt's kind of bottom line, which is very how he is in the books.
Yeah.
So I've kind of picked that up out of them, but yeah, I kind of it's one of my favorite things in video games is to like go alongside a character and you go through these like events, you experience things, and at the end of it, the character is a different character. Like they've evolved through with it. So like that's the games I like playing.
Nice. And Taylor, what about you? What are your kind of favorite games or specific examples?
I personally like strategy, simulation, or management games. Those have always like really drawn me in compared to like the games that Elliott's describing, just because like I don't know, I like the micromanager in me just loves it. Like
Yeah.
I was so waiting for it to be like, I just love to fucking micromanage stuff.
I just want to do it. Yeah. So like I guess started with games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Sims, like City Skylines, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
then like as I continued playing, like I found more games, and then I started playing games like Stardew. Oh my god, my words are like not
You're
coming
doing
out
a me today. It's usually me that does this.
I thought you were gonna say Stormwind. I was like, what?
No. Stardew Valley, Terraria, those kinds of games. I think first really fell in love with like puzzle games with Portal. That was something that made me realize like, oh, you don't have to run around and shoot people. You
Yeah.
don't have to be like a ninja warrior. You don't have to be violent. Not that there's anything wrong with those kinds of games, in my opinion. But I was like, oh, there's like a whole other genre here that really, really interests me. Because like as someone who loves board games, who loves figuring out puzzles, like the whole escape room type thing, like once you put that in a virtual setting, like I'm sold. I'll try it. So
I've
like,
actually got a recommendation for a game that you might like then. Have you ever heard of a game called Antichamber?
I have.
So it's similar to
Yeah.
Portal, except instead of having like a portal gun, there's loads of like mind-bending puzzles, and there's lots of like stuff that messes with your head. Like just as an example, just off the top of my head, there's puzzles where like you'll go for a room and then you'll look at something and then you'll look at it from a different angle and it completely changes. And there's all sorts of different
This is a PC game?
Yes. Yeah, I'll DM you after the podcast.
Yeah, so like for me, like I've owned a PC for less than a year. So like a lot of the games that I have played like have been recent, and so like I'm always open to new suggestions. Like even in my Twitch bio, I'm like, please suggest me games.
Yeah.
Because like I'm new and I like new to PC and I love them. So yeah, like I started trying The Witness, which is another puzzle game that I've really enjoyed.
Very popular
like
one.
yeah, and even like iPhone games, like I love like Farmville, like those like stupid like it could be like ranging from like the most mindless game like Farmville where you're like just collecting like all that, and then like things to like where you really have to think it through. So like Factory Town, for example, like everything is always moving, your brain is always hurting. Every time I play that game, after like 4 hours, I'm like, I have to stop because like people are watching me just be angry and upset. This game I think that game needs a little bit of a rework or like better instructions or something, but like
Oh, sorry. Get good. No easy
Yeah.
notes
Factory
here.
Town. So I watched Taylor play Factory Town. She had it so down. And I was like, oh, this looks really nice. Like I love the art style, and like it doesn't seem like too complicated. Quite a good chill game. No,
no,
It's
no,
not a good
no.
chill game. So I
No.
got it because I was like, yeah, why not? And I played it for a bit, and I'd gotten to a point where I have like one automated setup that makes cake and sells cake, and everything else in my Factory Town game file is just chaos.
Yeah, so I haven't got to a point where I've mastered that game. Another game I've been playing recently is Oxygen Not Included. It's another management game where you have to manage your resources, whether they be like food, water, air, like your little people that I'm forgetting the duplicants. But just like any game that's kind of like that. Like that's really up my alley. I really enjoy those kinds of games. Yeah.
Nice. So I'm like a little bit all over the board with video games because I've been playing gaming for 22 years and I kind of like a bit of everything. I love shooters. Like I used to love Halo. Halo 2 was my favorite game for years. I played that game every day after school, either with just by myself or with my mate. My mate we used to play it like he'd come over every weekend and we'd play that until like 3 a.m. So I used to love Halo, but I started on the SNES, and like one of the very first games I played was Legend of Zelda. So that was like an RPG. So I love RPGs. I love shooters. I love. I'm also the same. I do like strategy and management games. I usually like ones where you can build up like a. I don't know how to describe it, but like build up like your money and stuff like that. Like it's one of the reasons why I really like Stardew. Like you start off with
Well,
nothing and you build it up.
you also really like Minecraft, and I've been playing
Yeah.
Minecraft just this week actually, like for the first time, because everyone's like, "Wait, you like these types of games? Why don't you play Minecraft?" And I'm like, so I've been playing Minecraft, but you like that as well, but you play with mods.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with Minecraft. The reason I like Minecraft a lot, and again with mods, is because I like to go out there, craft, gather the stuff that I need, and then craft. But then once you craft what you need, then you need to craft something bigger. So you go out and you gather even more. And like that process of building, like I like building, not necessarily actually building. Like I'm not very good at building nice, pretty things in Minecraft, but I like that growing an empire kind of feeling, which is probably one of the reasons why I really like YouTube and Twitch, is because it's, you're growing your subscriber count or you're growing your follower count or whatever. It's the same kind of feeling, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, but no, so I love that kind of stuff. I used to love World of Warcraft. I played that for 12 years. That was my addiction for several years until I hate it. So yeah, like lots of games. I like horror as well. I like horror games. I love Alien Isolation.
Well, that's the thing that Twitch made me realize is like I really like horror games. Like I'm not so much into horror movies or like horror television, except for this Scream Netflix remake. That's amazing, and in an ironic, trashy way. Just so everyone knows that I'm not being
no judgment.
But yeah, like watching your horror streams, I'm like, oh, I really like horror games. Like Dead by Daylight is a horror game, one of my favorite games, which is not a strategy management or simulation game, right?
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it's an asymmetrical PvP game.
Asymmetrical PvP. Okay, that's what I'm like. No, but yeah, like that made me realize, like, actually, I really like these games. Like, I have been playing Amnesia. I bought Visage.
Well, I say Visage, but that's because I'm English and I speak correctly. But you can say Visage if you want.
I literally don't know which one it is.
Visage. Oh my god, it's a great game. Really creepy. It's an early access though. Really creepy horror game. Really scared me. Like it's honestly, I played so many horror games that not a lot of them scare me properly, but that one just creeped me out. It's so creepy.
Yeah. So like I've realized like that's the cool thing about Twitch is you're like, well, I wouldn't want to go out and spend $40-50 on a game without actually knowing if I'm gonna like it. Cause like my experience with horror TV, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But then you watch it somewhere else and you're like, oh, maybe I do.
Yeah.
And then you get to try it,
100% why I came to Twitch in the first place, because I used to watch a lot of YouTube reviews and gameplay. So before I went and spent $60 or £50 on a game, because that, I can't buy every game. I can't afford that.
No.
And so I used to go and watch gameplay. So I would be like, oh, I'm going to like this game or I'm not going to like it. And Twitch kind of evolved from that. It was it was a little bit more in depth, because as much as I love YouTube and you get some really good, if you know a couple of good reviewers or whatever, you can get some really good information. The beauty of Twitch is that you can go in and you can ask your specific question. So if you're somebody like me who hates aggressive microtransactions and you hate loot boxes, you can go in and go, yo, hello, whatever gamer 256, does this game have loot boxes in? And they can go, yes, it does. And you can go, well, I'm not buying that one then, or the other way around, So like, yeah, it's very much.
I mean, similarly, like I watch Elliott streams of Bloodborne, and I can respect why people like Bloodborne, but I watch it and I'm like, I'm probably never gonna play Bloodborne. Like that.
It's not for everyone.
Definitely not.
And the thing is too is like, which I really appreciate about Twitch is like you can see all the artwork, you can see how some of the mechanics really work. Not that you're playing it yourself, but you get to like experience some of like a taste of it, and then you don't have to spoil it for yourself and watch the 6 days of streaming to get the whole game. But if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think it's really cool to realize like what you do like and what you don't like from Twitch, but then you also like can try them out yourself. So, I mean, that's something I don't like is Bloodborne.
Yeah. But again, that's it's one of the
Incredible
beauties of
difficulty
Twitch.
to
It is. This is why I've always said, streamers and YouTubers, and I think a lot of a large portion of the industry really does look after its content creators because we are helping sell games. That's not a brag. That's not arrogance. That is literally like it's true. If I go and see a game and I like what I see on Twitch, on YouTube, I'm more likely to buy it. So if you're making good games, people streaming them is a benefit to you. It's free marketing essentially. So it's a good thing, and streaming ain't going anywhere. People have been like, oh, Article 13, it's not going to go anywhere. Companies are not going to start copyright claiming their own.
No.
Streaming games is technically against copyright, isn't it? We've had this
No,
conversation.
Yeah, it is.
It is technically against copyright because you're
Well,
using their content and
you say
broadcasting
it
and
dep-
making money
depends.
off of it.
There's a lot of
It
games
does
that have like a disclaimer on the front when you load in. Like I'm thinking about Overcooked personally because I know that they have
Firewatch had it as well.
so they have a
But-
disclaimer where they write like you can use this wherever you want essentially. And I
Well,
guess
the thing with video games is it's exactly the same as music, right? It's exactly the same when it comes to copyright. If the developer of that game, whoever owns the rights to that game, the copyright, if they come to your channel and go, stop streaming our game, that's our property, we don't want you to stream it anymore. Legally, you kind of have to stop. You could argue fair use, but when you're streaming a game and you're making lots of money from it, you are essentially making money from someone's copyright material. The difference is that where music is very aggressive, especially on YouTube, any music now gets copyright claimed because the companies just want the money. They don't give a shit about anything else. Whereas when it comes to games, like we've just said, we are basically selling games. I mean, look at Apex. Apex wouldn't have blown up like it did if it wasn't for Twitch. Let's be honest, it wouldn't have blown up like it did if it wasn't for Twitch and YouTube. And it's the same with Fortnite. Fortnite wouldn't be this smash hit success. I don't personally believe it would be as much as it is if it wasn't for Twitch and for YouTube. And so really it's a two-way street. We're benefiting them and they're benefiting us by allowing us to use their copyright material, and in some cases by providing us, the game code for free or whatever. But it's a two-way street. It's a benefit to both of us. I really think the video game industry has blown up over the last few years, and part of it is YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to be honest, streaming and video content.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's all that's the kind of games that we love. Why don't we go into some of the games that we don't love so much? Elliott, kick us off. And then some games that you just don't like or games that disappointed you.
The game that for me is just I can't stand it at all is E.T. Extraterrestrial on the Atari because
strong
ruined-
choice.
it ruined the gaming industry.
It very nearly did. It
Well,
nearly killed the game
It
industry.
didn't do it single-handedly. The gaming
Okay,
industry had
for
huge
someone-
collapse.
For someone who has no idea what you're talking about, explain more, please.
Buckle up.
So Taylor,
Buckle up.
the gaming industry was doing really, really well, and at one point, just everyone was making video games, and it was back around the Atari, like before, kind of we had Segas and PlayStations and all this stuff.
Bearing in mind, it was back when video games were still kind of a niche thing, though.
Okay.
People started making video games for everything. It got to a point where, because like the relative data compared to like now, you could make a video game with a small team. People just started churning out games, like awful games that barely. It was like Steam is now, but you had to physically go to stores and buy them.
Yeah.
Right.
And like in kind of all the literature of like gaming industry, like as it evolved, E.T. Extraterrestrial was kind of marked as this is the game that nearly killed video games. Like it almost made it so we never had them again. But
It was just
was
that
so
bad?
Yeah.
It was awful. It was
So
buggy,
bad, and
barely
it was so
worked.
mass produced as well. They made so many of it. I mean, there's been
And
theories.
people bought it because of the IP, or
I don't think people did buy it, to be honest. I mean, I know
think
that most copies ended up in landfill, didn't they? They ended up
Yeah.
landfilling them. But it was more of a. I think one of the theories is, and this might be a tinfoil hat theory, I don't know, but one of the theories is that with licensing and copyright, basically, if you don't use that copyright for anything for so long, you could potentially lose it. If you this is why we've ended up with trash films in the past, like trash Marvel films back in the day, just because they needed to use the license, otherwise they might lose it. And one of the theories is that they needed to keep hold of the ET license because nothing had been made for it for so long, so they just churned out this garbage game so they could go, oh well, we're still making stuff with the license, so it's ours. And so this is the theory, was that they did that. And they hope people would buy it. They didn't.
No.
people didn't buy it.
Yeah, if you go through like kind of, there's a few programs that talk about like the history of video games, and basically a lot of people are just like, E.T. is the one that nearly killed us all. Like it nearly stopped everything.
There's videos that go into way more depth. Just you can find them on YouTube
Yeah.
that go into way
There's
more
a
depth
really good
about what went
Netflix
on.
documentary about it. I think it's still on Netflix anyway. But there's a really, really good documentary on it. I sat and watched it, and it was like just gaming through the years. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm going with E.T. because
That is a
Screw
bold
those
choice.
guys.
That screw ET. No, that is a bold choice. Well, Taylor, what about you? Got any games that you particularly really dislike?
So it's kind of like a genre, I guess.
Okay, take genre.
I do not play first person shooters. I have always like watched them, like even back from like the original Call of Duties, like Halo, and moving up to like Fortnite, Apex, like I know those are obviously battle royals, but like just the whole like gun mechanic, like never really did anything for me.
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
but I've actually like guilty pleasure is watching Rainbow Six Siege. I've been I'm like, I might play this game. I posted a thing on April Fools being like, hey guys, guess what? I'm a real gamer girl now. Guess what? And
I fell for that one, by the way.
you guys all fell for it. And I was
fell
like,
for that
oh,
one.
maybe I should be playing
But
this.
it wasn't even like anyone. Like there were so many people afterwards being like, "Oh yeah, Admiral Ubisoft,
Yeah,
like
come
I'll
play
play
with
with
us,
you."
yeah.
They're like, yeah, like play with me, and I'm like,
So many people were so excited for your like first person shooting.
I know, and you know what? I like now I'm like maybe I'd try it. But like I have tried Fortnite, I've tried Apex. Like there's just something about it that I just like can't get behind. Like I've played Halo,
So-
I've done the campaign on Halo. Like
Is
they
it like
just
the movement, or like what don't you like about it?
it's like the just continuously doing the same thing of pointing at something and clicking and pointing at something else and clicking. And
So
I'm
again,
like,
you're saying that Call of Duty and so on are point and clicks. Is that what you're saying?
no, it's not a point and click. But you know what I mean?
Not wrong.
I'm not wrong, but like it's just like I guess like the amount of thinking you have to do behind that kind of game like doesn't really appeal to me, and also like the typical like war storylines aren't really for me, I guess, and that's usually what gets applied to those. Other than the zombies and the flood and like those types of storylines, but yeah, like that's just something that's never really sold me, I guess. So it's not that like I'm judging anybody else that plays that, because
no, of course.
I play The Sims, so like judge me. I mean, like,
hey, nothing wrong with
so
Sims.
well, I mean, there's like a different game for everybody, and that's just something
100%.
that never really sold me, I guess.
It's something that, like, I was just about to say, something that kind of maybe I take for granted, because I started playing first person shooters back on the PS2, maybe. Like, I don't know, like, you're right, like every FPS pretty much has a similar sort of mindset. You know, you're moving, you're turning, you're shooting, you're reloading, you know, you're lobbing grenades, and like even the movement patterns in first person shooters, like you'll see somebody who's good at a first person like multiplayer shooter, you'll see them because they move all the time. You know, like all that's just kind of like ingrained into me because I've been doing it for so long that it doesn't really.
Well, the excitement too of like going around and looting stuff and like collecting weapons and ammo and whatever, like when I open something and I get a gun and they're like, oh, it's this shiny purple one, I'm like, I don't care. Like people like some people like know all the names of all the weapons and like they are super into that like whole genre, and I'm like, just not for me. And like, not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like everybody can enjoy what they want to enjoy, but like
absolutely
that experience.
Taylor's so Canadian, it's so not like what games do you hate? I hate first person shooters, but if you play them, that's absolutely fine. I enjoy watching that. Like, you're so on the fence. Like,
I'm so sorry for hating it. Grumpy made me say
but
it.
the thing is,
you guys are great though.
The thing is like I look at the video game industry as like this is all entertainment, and you can obviously have a genre that you want to pick and you want to spend your money and time with, and
Absolutely.
And I'm just saying this is the reasons why it doesn't appeal to me, but like I can see how it appeals to others, you know? Like, because everything has a different sell. Like for me, I play The Sims, I build houses on free mode for hours, and like that would be boring as hell to probably Elliott. Like
So, why would you assume? I might love building houses.
Well, I mean, you were telling me you like House Flipper.
I love the idea of House Flipper. I think I could.
Oh god, that game.
Like, have you ever played Viscera Cleanup Detail?
No.
It's like you go into crime scenes and you just clean up. And I got like a Christmas version of it, so you can go to like Santa's workshop, you're just like mopping blood off the walls. And like most people like, play it online because you can mess with your friends. But I like playing it on my own and just be like, I'm a cleaner. It's just like,
that needs to be a GIF on your stream somewhere.
it's like chewing gum for your mind. Like you just like mop up the blood, that's
Yeah.
fine. Clean up the parts, that's fine. And then you just like go around cleaning up. You
When we
whistle
said we
while
were going to get to know each other, I didn't realize we were going to find out you were a serial killer. I didn't know that was going to happen. outed on the internet. But no, let's go on to mine. I mean, you guys probably know which my most hated
Oh,
game
I
of all
wonder
time
which
is.
Alien Isolation, which game it is.
No, it's
I
Colonial
wonder which
Marines,
one
but
it
good
Oh
effort.
God, it is.
Good effort.
Isolation's
You've
the one
been
you
so
like.
sassy as well. You've been so sassy being bested
I
up. But
nearly
no,
got him.
my all-time most hated game is Alien Colonial Marines. Let me just tell you why. Like, give me a chance.
I've never played it. Tell me.
I
Tell
am
me what it's like.
such an Alien fan. I love Alien. Alien, the original Alien is one of my favorite films, if not my favorite film of all time, followed very closely by Aliens. Okay, I love the franchise. It was so good. And so when we'd had games before, but they'd been all like kind of old and So like when I heard a game was coming out, and I heard it was by Gearbox as well, the people that brought you Borderlands, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be a great Alien game. And they marketed it and they showed you, and it looked fantastic, and the E3 stuff was all great. And then it came out, and I was at uni at the time, so I had very little money. So I went and bought it on day one, and I went into game and I bought it. I came home, I loaded it up, and I was like, what is this game? It was just so bad on every level. Like, the aliens were just thrown at you like crazy. Like, in Alien Isolation, they like make a big deal about building up the tension, and when you finally get the alien, it's like, oh my god, and it's just one alien and it's scary. In Alien Colonial Marines, they were just like, oh, here's 20 aliens, go. And they didn't feel threatening, and most of the game is shooting people rather than shooting the aliens. There's a lot of human, which, by the way, the AI is terrible. It was full of bugs and glitches, like so many glitches. They added all these new alien types and then just didn't give you any reasons. Those like spitting aliens, just because why not? And then there was this like big bull type alien that was massive and armored that you couldn't kill, and just didn't give any explanation, and breaks the lore of Alien, because anyone who knows the lore of Alien knows that the alien takes on aspects of the host. That's why we have pred aliens and human aliens and dog aliens. So where did the bull alien come from? And then there's like these plot twists, and then there's the characters that come in from aliens, and it was supposed to be this big like reveal, shock horror, but it made no sense, and it was just a mess, and I just hate it. It was so bad. I honestly
had an idea for like Left 4 Dead before Left 4 Dead, and then someone went, "Oh, we've got the IP rights to Aliens," and they just went, "Cool, slap it on there."
Kind of. So it's just a generic bland first-person shooter with aliens slapped in, essentially. It's got like a story, it's got a narrative to it, which is kind of bland. There's a couple of bits that are kind of interesting, but mainly it's just very generic bland. Oh no, we're walking through a tunnel and it blew up. Oh, we must go somewhere else then. And oh, there's aliens here now. Like, there's one scene where like you see the aliens for the first time and no one reacts. They're just like, what is that? That's it. That's your reaction. Like,
is it a bird? Is it a plane?
yeah, it's like, oh, we just shoot them. Okay, cool, let's go. There's like no, like, I don't know. It was just so bad in so many ways, and I goddamn hated that game. And so it took me 2 days to complete it. I like had a break and then played it the next day, and I finished it in 2 days, and I just sat there and went, what a waste of money. Like, what a waste of my money, which at the time I didn't have a lot. And so it's burnt into my brain. And this was the game that stopped me pre-ordering. I don't pre-order. In fact, I pre-order very occasionally, but generally I don't pre-order video games. And this was the game that stopped me, because I was like, no, if Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, talking about him again, if they can lie to my face like this and show me bullshit, essentially, because that's what they did, anybody can. And that was kind of the turning point from when I went like being a very excited person about video games, where I used to wait up to like midnight launches and pre-order and be like telling my friends, but I can't wait about this next game, to being like, hang on a minute, I'm gonna go and watch some YouTube footage first before I spend 50 quid. That was the turning point.
Genesis of Grumpy Brit. If it hadn't been for
100%.
that game, you would have been the happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I would have been, because I mean, like,
games
there was several like other instances after that, and there continue to be more instances after that. But that was the time when that was the first time that I can ever remember that I bought a video game and when I've been conned. That's how I felt. I had games that maybe weren't as good as I thought they were going to be, but I still enjoyed them. Or I had games that I was like, you know what, I didn't like it, but I didn't like it because I didn't like it. I'd never felt tricked before. I'd never felt conned, and that's how I felt with this game. And so I'm kind of one of those people where I'm like, fool me once, shame on you, all that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna get fooled again. I mean, I have been fooled a couple of times, World of Warcraft, but I'm very cautious now about what games I buy because of that. So Yeah, good job, Randy Pitchford. You birthed the Grumpy Brit. Wow, can we not give him credit?
Poor,
Can we not give?
poor Randy Pitchford.
I
I
think
know.
I was gonna
All he
say
wants
clip
is to be
that.
loved.
Clip it, someone clip it. But no, it definitely was the turning point for me. It was what made me the cynical man that I am today, honestly. But yeah, that's my most hated game. By the way, I still own my copy of Aliens Colonial Marines. It's one of my most pristine games. It's because it's one of the games I've played
Because no
the
one's ever
least.
touched it.
Yeah, I played it once and then never played it again. So I bought it on the Xbox originally. Played it once, never played it again. I did rebuy it on Steam just so I could stream it, just so I could show people how bad that game was. Because funnily enough, I thought that everybody had played it or everybody had seen it. And when I streamed that game, I only streamed it last year and people still hadn't seen it. They're like, I'd never seen this game before. I was like, what, really?
I think I remember the trailers coming out for it, but I never like saw anything more than that.
Yeah, I mean, again, they so heavily doctored the trailers. They made the game look really good. You know, there was scenes, the AI that they made, the AI looked like behaved one way that never behaved that way in the game. They graphically, I'm not really bothered about the graphics, but they did make the graphics look a lot better on the footage than it was in the game. There was a lot of things that, in my opinion, were a little bit shady. You know, a little bit false
Honestly,
advertising.
Game trailers in general are like a huge pet peeve for me. Like they turn it into like a movie trailer and
Yeah.
don't show you the game like at
Yeah.
all. Like, or even like when it's not even the same type of like art. Like you see one that's like supposed to be like like this in puzzle games in particular. You'll get like you're doing like a puzzle or something, and then the video trailer is like this whole like adventure story that you're watching these people go on that
Yeah.
they don't even do.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
I don't. That's like something that's really always bothered me.
It's something that
And I don't know why people aren't all like annoyed about it, because you're like, okay, I just watched this really awesome like 2-minute trailer. Yeah, that was like really really cool to watch. Didn't tell me anything.
yeah.
Like,
It's true. There's
wasn't
something that Jim
helpful
Sterling
at
talked
all.
about in one of his videos a long time ago now about the whole like fake chatter. So you'll get games, especially shooting games, games like The Division. You'll get games like that where they'll have people like voice actors like talking about like, you know, as if they're playing the game essentially over a headset. So they'll be like, "Oh, I've got a guy on my six, got to help you out, blah blah blah." But then they put that into the trailer and don't tell you that it's headset and that it's scripted, so it looks like it's in the game, but it's not. It's just people like being paid to act. You know?
Yeah, weird.
But yeah, they did it with the Division 2, where
Yeah.
they showed like the gameplay trailer, and it was all these like voice actors basically going over like
Yeah.
gameplay, and they're like, "Oh, I'm throwing grenades now, so stick back." And it's like,
Yeah.
that
I'm
is
out of
not what-
ammo. Yeah,
that
cover
is
me.
not what game
And
chat
it's
is
like, no,
in
that's
a
not what they
game.
sound like. It's like, I've only got 5 minutes, my tea's ready. Go, go, go. You know, it's like that's not what it's honest. I mean, I've had worse examples. I've had rude ones that I'm not going to put into the YouTube side of things. But yeah, people, there's a lot of swearing, a lot of bad things. Most people these days turn the voice comms off for that reason. But yeah, there's a lot of fakery when it comes to trailers and marketing in video games. And
But like when they're not like that I don't even think is that bad. What you're saying. Like I'm talking about like they'll take the characters and put them on this like cinematic adventure in a trailer, and then you get to
Yeah.
the game and it's like a pixelated art game. And I'm like,
Well,
what happened here?
one thing I would say is that World of Warcraft for many years, I don't think you've ever played WoW, have you? But like World of Warcraft was kind of known for its cinematic trailers. They used to do a trailer for every expansion, and they were like so top high quality. They were so good. And like, but then again, like everybody knew that wasn't what the game was, but they just really enjoyed the trailer. So as long as you know that that's not what the game is, then it's fine. Like I don't have a problem with artistic things like that.
I think that application is a little bit different than I think what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Like
Again, it depends if you know whether that's the game or not. You know, if you know
Well,
that that's
yeah, like there's like, imagine if they did a trailer for Final Fantasy VII and it was just like the cutscene graphics, and then you get to the real game, and Cloud's like this like orange blob, and his eyes are this big,
yeah.
and like you're just like, wait, what happened?
Yeah. Imagine if they did a
slider?
Imagine if they did a Final Fantasy VII trailer and it looks like it doesn't have an ATB system anymore.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We talked about this already off stream, off video. We talked about the new
If you follow
trailer.
me and Grumps on Twitter, you would have seen us both nerding out hard style on
So
Twitter.
where's the ATB system gone? Why are you so afraid of it, Square? Persona has it. Why can't you have it? We love it.
But
Honestly.
like, Eris though, she's gonna break my heart in the game.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I know.
No
Have you seen
spoilers.
I mean, we're gonna go real off topic now. Have you seen like on Twitter where there's people being like, "I should be able to spoil Final Fantasy VII for people that haven't played it before because they should have played the original." It's like, how much of an asshole do you have to
Yeah,
be?
I mean, if you're having a
Like, come
discussion,
on.
fine. But if you're just spoiling for spoiling's sake, then no. I mean, like, it's interesting. This is actually. Let's go on to the next topic because we're going to talk about this. Our next question is remasters, yay or nay? Do you like them or not? But this brings us on to that because this is a game that, you know, like you and I, we played years ago. I was a kid when I played this game, but there are going to be so many people out there who have never played Final Fantasy VII, who have never even heard of it. Maybe they're too young, or maybe they just weren't interested back then. So they're never going to have heard of it. For them, this is going to be their first experience of it. And the fact that people are out there trying to spoil it, you know, just kind of sucks, really. Like, I don't know. This is one of the reasons why I really like remasters. This is what we're going to get onto because we have a little bit of a difference of opinion, I think. But I really like remasters because it's like, you know, it allows people to enjoy a game that probably never would, you know?
I like HD remasters. Like, so Final Fantasy VII, for example, like, say they brought out the exact same game, the exact same systems, all the same story, just HD remaster.
Which is what we all want.
Yeah, which
Let's
is
be
what
honest.
Final Fantasy fans mostly want. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't speak for everyone, but everyone that I know that has played the old Final Fantasy games, that's what they want.
Yeah.
Like if they brought that back out, there are people who look like Final Fantasy VII came out in like 1996 or something, and the graphics aren't amazing.
No,
And there are people who say I turn around to them and be like, Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games. I'd love for you to experience it. They're going to turn it on. They're going to get through like the first cutscene, and then they're going to look at it and be like, why would I play this?
Yeah.
Because obviously I'll still play at the same graphics because I love.
Oh, it's
the game.
nostalgia for you though. You remember it.
Exactly. So like I love the idea of just redo the graphics so that I can go to people and say like, this is a brilliant game that I love. You're going to be able to experience it in all new graphics, and like I can then experience like you experiencing it.
Yeah.
But they don't do that, do they? They take away our ATV systems, and like there's so many people that are concerned by so many things with like what is or isn't going to be in it. Like, are they going to change elements of the story without going into like real plot points? But like, are they going to
Taylor?
change
I don't
elements of
think
the
you've ever
story?
played this, have you? You never played Final Fantasy VII. There's a scene in. I want your opinion on this one because you're a youngster. In Final no, I know. So in Final Fantasy VII, there's a scene where essentially one of the female protagonists, has been taken essentially hostage by this pimp. He's a giant pimp and he has this like big boudoir full of women, and he's a massive pervert. And so we know this, and we know that she's been taken by him. And so the other protagonists, a male and a female, want to bust in and break her out, but they're like, they're never going to let this guy in. They're never going to let you in with your big sword. So what they do is they dress the protagonist Cloud up in as a woman, and they dress him up as a woman, put perfume on him, and then he pretends to be a woman to get in to the place so they can bust Tifa out and rescue her from this.
So he's playing like a Mulan.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like talk and debate about like, are they going to allow that in 2019? You know, are they going to allow that in a video game?
It's not even just that, but like to get into it more detail, where if you don't want to know anything that ever happens in Final Fantasy VII, probably don't listen for a second.
Yeah, just mute it for a minute.
Like basically one of the ways, so you get a wig because you're dressing up as a woman. You go to this gym where they're all like cross dressers, and you have a squatting challenge with someone in this gym.
Yeah,
but like it's even down to like that kind of stuff. And
okay, so I'm gonna have an opinion you guys probably don't like.
Oh,
so I think that art that existed that way, made in 1996, that was like the type of comedy, the type of whatever that passed at that time.
Just for context, remember this is a Japanese studio as well, so it's not Americanized. It's Japanese studio out of Japan, so they have different, and they still have different cultural. Just for context, they have different cultural standards.
Right. So if they make that type of art, I don't know. This is like treading real light.
Well, this is the thing. But like,
so here's the thing. It's like, I think for my own personal whatever reasons, is that you should try to appeal to like obviously the social and political like values of the time. If you're applying it to like globally, obviously there's different like cultural context based on where you're located. You're trying to put it out to a market that's global. So I mean, if the company wants to do that and they're Japanese and they don't receive back, like they're opening themselves up to backlash, which is fine. You can choose to pay for the game or not, like it's your choice. I don't really like.
So my issue is there's gonna be backlash either way. If they include the slightly, it was all kind of in a camp way, by the way. There was no ever like any negative, I would say, connotations to
Yeah,
it. It was all
like,
kind
it
of camp
wasn't
and
poking-
funny. Oh haha,
Yeah.
Cloud's dressing as a woman, But if they do that and they continue that on, there's gonna be people that are like, oh, that's not progressive, blah blah blah. We don't like that. But if they don't do that, there's gonna be people that are gonna be really angry, being like, well, I really love the game and you've just taken this thing out now. And there's going to be, as there always is, when there's any sort of political message, people are going to be like, oh, you've censored it. It's censorship. If you take it out, it's censorship, which I don't agree with that stance either, but there's going to be a backlash either way. Either way they choose, there's going to be some form of backlash from a portion of people. So
Yeah, I mean there is like something to be said that like recognizing there's a difference in jokes that passed before that don't pass now. Like when I even like rewatch the show Friends, humongously popular, they have a lot of jokes that do not fly now. Like you watch that back and you're like, the bit about Chandler's parents, like
yeah. Well, the thing is though,
you couldn't
one
put
thing
that on
that I would say, and this is just my own personal opinion, I do feel, though, that with the average audience that's not Twitter, I think Twitter, which, we all agree Twitter is kind of left-leaning, which is not getting into left versus right-wing. I don't give a shit, right? But we all agree that Twitter is a bit more progressive, a little bit more left-leaning, right? Whereas the mass market isn't Twitter, and this is something that a lot of people, I think, don't realize, is that yeah, if you anger Twitter, it's going to be all over Twitter, and everybody who's on Twitter, including myself and you guys, we're going to see it. We're going to see it. And it might seem like this huge big deal, but for the average consumer, the average customer across the world, it might not be. And so I think
my general philosophy with all of that is like, what does it hurt by leaving it out, where when you leave it in, it can be considered harmful?
Well, by taking it out, you are kind of saying to the fans, well, this is part of the game that you love, but we're taking it out, we're changing it because we now have a political
but does that
opinion.
Does that need override something that is harmful to another group?
Again, though, well, we could get into this. This is dicey ground. Like, is it harmful?
I know. But that, I guess, like when I because you asked me my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's where I kind of end up. Like, yeah, it's a shame that like something that you really appreciated and kind of like was appropriate in the time of 1996 or whenever the first game came out. Yeah. But like my view, which nobody has to agree with, it's fine. It's my view. I think like that's something I could see myself being like, okay, they wrote that part out, put something else in that part, because it does become harmful to another group. And like my need for something that's like essentially frivolous to me and really important to someone else, like I can let that go. Like
I mean, I personally again, as I have played the game, there's no gatekeeping, but as I have played the game, I don't think there was anything in there that was overly offensive. I don't think there was anything in there that was like,
right, and
this
I'm
is
just
going to be
speculating.
offensive. Yeah, of course.
And I mean, there's tons of cultures, other places where like men dress up as women all the time, and it doesn't have to be that context.
Absolutely.
It really is like a very hard thing to navigate, because
of course it is. I mean, it's so hard, even if you're trying to be progressive these days. It is very hard to be fully, it is hard to be fully PC, politically correct. And I mean, I'm somebody who's firmly on the stance of that you don't always have to be politically correct. Something can, in my opinion, something can be offensive to you. That's fine. You're allowed to be offended. You're allowed to be offended by something. That is your right. You can be offended by anything. But I don't think that everything offensive should be banned, which some circles of people think anything offensive these days should be banned. And I think this is why we always get the backlash as well, is because if something does get taken out, and let's just say that scene got taken out because they were like, well, it just doesn't fit with the tone of the game anymore, because the game, Cloud, again, as somebody who's not played the game, or but Cloud has after the game, like the game was very sort of lighthearted and a bit sort of camp, whereas now everything that's come since, like even Advent Children, the movie, they really super serious. Like everything's everything's serious. And so I feel like there's a risk that they're gonna make the game super dark and serious and gritty, and they're gonna be like, that doesn't fit with the tone. And so I could see that happening, and that'd be the reason they take it out. But if they do that, people are gonna be like, oh, you took it out because of censorship, and freedom of speech,
and
all
people
of
are
that.
gonna say everyone has an opinion and everyone reviews something. That's life. Like everyone has opinions.
100%.
So Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really interesting, isn't it? I feel like, personally for me, I'm the same with Elliott. I just wanted a remaster. I wanted the game exactly how it was, but with better graphics on a better engine. That's all I wanted. We're not getting that. We know we're not getting that. We know that from the gameplay because so it used to be an active time battle system, which was essentially you had your team of people standing in a line and the enemy team standing in a line, and you take turns and you click attack or defend or magic or whatever. Whereas that used to be the Final Fantasy standard, and the last couple of games have been more 3D action, like you run around in the battle and you like actually hit and slash and stuff, and that's what it looks like now, which is why a lot of people don't really like Final Fantasy anymore, especially older fans of the series. And so we know that they are going ahead with Final Fantasy 15 style of combat, which I couldn't get behind, honestly. So we know they're already changing a lot of it. So I'm imagining there's going to be lots. Isn't it also going to be episodic as well? It's going to be split into chapters or something.
Yeah,
which is, I'm not a fan of that either.
Thing. So I was reading an article a while back that's saying, like, obviously the teaser trailer only had Midgarder in it, which is the city that you start in.
Yeah.
And there's some people saying, like, the first episode they're going to bulk out what you do in Midgar so that they can make a full episode out of it. And I'm just a bit like, why? Why would you do that? Like, because you can't, you can breeze through the first section of the game very, very quickly. There's no need for it all to be in Midgar at the start. Like, it's basically, it almost seems like they're trying to spin it out more, and they're probably going to put it under the guise of like, yeah, but episodic, you get more story, and actually it's mostly going to be filler.
Yeah. Well,
So
it
it's
just
like,
doesn't make sense, because in every Final Fantasy game ever, you have progression where you have to level up your characters, and if you try and rush ahead through the story too quickly, you might get out leveled by the enemies. And so people are like, well, what happens if it's episodic and I've got to wait for the next episode? Do I just keep grinding in this place and then get like level 99 or whatever? Like, how's that going to work? There's so many questions that we need to get answers to. I mean, we're kind of going a bit off topic. We're going back into game news, aren't we?
we're on to state of play.
Current stuff. This is supposed to be the get to know us. Well, now you know that Elliott and I just wanted a goddamn remaster, okay? But I think
now you know that we just want Final Fantasy.
we just want it exactly how it is. You know, you're gonna repaint the Mona Lisa. We want it exactly the same. Don't put shades on it. That was a really weird analogy, wasn't it? But yeah, so that's.
I've missed your weird analogies. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the analogies. I don't know if you can tell this, but yeah, but no. Back to the original question. I'm a big fan of remasters if they're done well. Resident Evil 2 was a really good example of that. I mean, that was technically a remake, not a remaster, but you know, I really like when they take an old game that I love and they make it better. And that's the thing for me. You got to make it better. You know, even a remaster, you're making it better graphically, that's fine, but I need it to be better, whereas some games have been made worse. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Well, going back to the question list, we have a nice easy one that's not going to get us off on any rants, none at all. Favorite controller. You've got to pick one. You're only allowed one controller of any console or anything ever. Can't choose keyboard or mouse. It's not technically a controller. Go, Elliott. Go.
I love how you like this. Can't get us on any rants. If I pick Nintendo 64, oh boy, are you gonna get angry?
I mean, I've got one right there. I mean, are you gonna pick N64 controller? Really?
To be fair, I never had a problem with the N64 controller. Everyone that says you need 3 hands to use it is an idiot. But anyway.
I mean, right? Do you know what? You say.
Can we have this fight?
Yeah, we're having this fight. Let's look at it, right? you wanna talk about controllers? Oh my god, this is a mess of wires. Oh my god.
Taylor, there's no need for using 3 hands for an N64 controller.
Just in case, because there might be people watching this that have never seen an N64 controller.
I love how you have one in your room.
How do you hold it? How? Look at that beast.
In the middle.
Why has it got 3 prongs?
So it depends on whether you're playing a 2D game or a 3D game.
It's
because
just so...
the N64 was kind of in that middle ground where there was still a lot of 2D and 3D. So the outside controller is for 2D games because you've got a 4-directional D-pad. And the inside one is for 3D games because you have a stick.
That makes complete sense to me.
One thing that I will say about the N64 controller is look at that middle bit and tell me what that looks like to you. Tell me what that looks like to you, that middle bit.
It looks like a Wiimote.
It's basically a Joy-Con. It's basically it. They've been doing the same controller Nintendo for years. It's the same sort of thing.
Sorry, do you not know what a GameCube controller looks like? Their controllers changed hugely through the years. They had the SNES.
No, I mean they've had this. Yeah. They've had this sort of idea for the Wii, and which is kind of similar to the Switch as well. But they've had that for years.
I mean, like
that's a Wii. That's a Wii Joy-Con. Look at it. It's the same thing with the button on the back and the. Yeah, come on.
I mean, to be fair, now you've destroyed it. So actually, I reckon what I'm going to pick for my favorite controller is Joy-Cons.
The Joy-Cons.
I actually really like them especially because I can sit, if I'm on my screen and docked, I can sit in my chair like this with my hands either side of me and I can still control the whole thing. I can't do that with any other controller. There's no other controller where I can be as lazy.
I do love the versatility of the Joy-Cons, I must admit. Like, I really like how, again, since we're having props, like, I just love how it's like on the Switch, but then you can just take it off and now all of a sudden it's a different controller. And the ways that they use them are crazy. Like, you can use just one as a controller by itself for a lot of games, or
I mean,
you can
say
put two.
You say you can, I can't.
I didn't
Well,
bring props,
it's
guys. Do you want me
tricky.
to go get a prop?
Go get a prop. It's tricky, but you use it as like a, you can. So what I'm saying is you buy one Switch and you have two controllers. You can essentially play 2-player games with people if you want to.
The only thing I hate with the Switch is that the back stand is awful. So I've got like a battery pack with a stand on it because
it is awful.
Also, the battery life is quite short. If you have it undocked,
Oh,
are we just gonna
wait.
Are we
Wait,
going to do a
wait.
screen grab where we're all
Hold
holding a
on.
controller?
Hold on. Can we pause?
Go ahead.
Oh, what's she getting?
I don't know.
Yeah, I really like the Joy-Cons.
You
we're
like the
not.
Joy-Cons.
Are we now not podcasting? Is that what we're paused for?
I don't know. We might have to edit this out. Who knows?
I,
We
I
might
love
just leave it in.
how I love how this might still be in, and we're just like,
Whatever.
Taylor's gone. But yeah, no, I love the Joy-Cons. I'm a big fan.
I actually, so I know a lot of people complained about them because they were like, they don't fit in their hands very well, but I've never had a problem with it. I think it's smaller hands. I don't get that, but I think it's smaller hands have troubles with the Joy-Cons.
Maybe. I was in game the other day and I was looking at getting like one of the pro controllers, like the real controllers. And like whilst I was looking at it, I realized how much I love using the Joy-Cons. And I was just like, I don't need a controller.
Well, you just have the little grip, don't you? You put them in that when you're playing. I found that fine, the little black grip that you put them in.
No, I hate that black grip. I hate it.
I don't mind it.
I don't like it. Like it's just like it feels too. There needs to be more middle of it. I think it feels too like square.
I don't know. It's
I
not,
reckon
it's
we
not
should
like the
leave-
most comfortable.
I reckon we should leave this in at this point.
Oh, just leave it in.
What?
Wow, she's brought the whole box.
She hasn't put her headphones on yet.
That's right, she can't hear us.
Taylor, what the fuck?
She just has to outdo us, does she? You know.
Oh boy, she's digging in there.
Oh
What
wow!
the hell is that?
Wow.
Is that like the original Tekken fight stick?
No, it's a flight one, isn't it? It's one of
It's
the
a
joystick
Mad
on-
Catz.
a
Wait, you
Mad
reversed
Catz
to me.
strong brand.
Is that joystick on the left or the right?
On the right. This is my right hand.
That sounds.
I've never had one of those.
Okay, guys, we're going through some things here.
Show and tell
wow.
with the GDWP.
This week on Taylor Gatekeeps, I
The
love the
Dreamcast
No,
one.
the Dreamcast controller. Dreamcast is my favorite controller. They're horrible and edgy and stuff, but you can put a little. The memory cards have screens on them.
Yeah,
And
and
you
they go right
You
in
could,
the...
you could
I
play
never
little
played
mini
the
games on them.
Dreamcast. It was one of the few
I
consoles I
had-
missed.
I had Skies of Arcadia on the Dreamcast. That was a hell of a game. Sonic Adventure 1 was on there.
There wasn't
Oh,
that many
boy.
games, was there? Oh
That's
wow!
Tell me this wasn't fun, because this was...
The
Yeah.
Dreamcast had the first MMO. It was Phantasy Star Online. It was like one of the first MMOs around. I could never get my Dreamcast on the internet. What
I used to
weird
love my light gun.
off-brand gun did you buy? Is it Mad Catz?
It
they always-
is... Interact.
no.
Oh, no, Starfire.
Isn't that a Teen Titans character?
Light Blaster. I don't know.
I used to have one for Time Crisis, the original Time Crisis.
on the
what a
PlayStation
game.
1.
What a
The-
what a time
For
to be
that
alive.
Capcom one, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
I
only
found out.
I only pulled
how-
out one ticket, but we never got rid of stuff.
I'm
fucking
so
right.
jealous.
And I was trying to I really wanted to look for, which isn't in this bucket, and I thought it was, is Dance Dance Revolution with the pads, the movie theater where you're
Did
like,
you have
do,
one?
do. I
The,
had
like,
one.
fold up mat one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
my
gonna say
sister had
that's
one.
I was gonna say that's my favorite controller of all time.
Ah,
That's
interesting
what
one.
I'm,
Interesting one. I like that one. Yeah, my sister had that. It was
that's nostalgic for me.
you needed a good hard floor for it. It didn't work very well on carpet, I will admit.
Yeah, I was always really jealous of my friends that had one, and I don't know why, because I hate DDR. Like,
Oh my god, it was like That's my childhood.
Yeah, same. I mean,
Like
this is one of the reasons why, just to bring it back down to earth for a second, because we're all having far too much fun. But this is like one of the reasons why like I get super angry at the video game industry recently, is because it's like we had there was like a golden era of games, you know, where we were excited about video games and we bought all the stuff and we was like, yeah, when's the next game coming out? And I feel like a lot of people now are just like, ugh, what crap are they gonna pull next? You know, like they don't seem to have the same level of creativity.
I think what has happened is like when we think about like even pulling out that gun or like that car remote, is like that was like a change in technology. Like you could point something at your TV screen and it would render that you're pointing something at it. And like now we're like, oh, who cares about that? Like that's
VR.
what you do. Well, no, like
VR, whatever.
VR is the next version of that, like obviously. But like I mean, like when this was coming out, this is what everyone was excited about. So like they had all these different versions, like you could buy all these these games and the matching equipment, blah blah blah, and it was like really transformational. Like my dad, like this is why I own all this stuff, is like my dad, every time something new came out, he bought it. Like I got to experience all the things as they came out, as they were new. So like he right now is just waiting for VR to not be so expensive. Like, and then that'll be something that we have in our house, because that's like we're not a sports family, we're a video game family. Like but yeah, like I think that it just doesn't really do that anymore. Like you have a PlayStation or PS4 that updates with the internet. You don't have to go out and make those types of purchases. Like there's no real desire or like drive to do something like that, maybe. Like
possibly. I mean, that's probably part of it. Yeah, it's probably part of it.
Coming from. Like we've definitely hit like there's a wall to video game development at the moment of like not of video games, but of like how we're playing them. It hasn't really changed in a while, and I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I mean. It's
I
like,
mean, on
obviously.
Like, that combined with other factors, you know, like we talked about millions of times about how that they seem to be more interested in selling you more microtransactions now than actually making a good game, and like you say, the technology isn't being pushed, and I think even when it comes to things like graphics, like, yeah, sure, we're having this sort of jump now from 4K to 8K, or they're trying to. Even then, it's like, well, it's only just a bit better, you know? It's like, it's not like the difference between like PlayStation 1 graphics and PlayStation 2 were like mind-blowing, you know? And then PlayStation 2 to 3, again, was mind-blowing, and same with Xbox and Xbox One. So it's kind of like now you've seen it all, you know? Kind of maybe we're all getting a little bit jaded and cynical, and they need to impress us. But they don't seem to be trying to impress us anymore either. They seem to be...
Well, it just doesn't feel like the same drive or excitement. Like I remember getting that gun and then shooting zombies on my TV. You know what I mean? Like you don't, as I said, I don't like shooting games, but but like you don't get that when you just download something off your PlayStation and it's just on your screen and you're using the same remote again. Like like obviously storylines have to really like transform and all that, but like even when they're doing remakes or like using old IP, like you don't get any sort of new stuff. Like it doesn't give you the same sort of excitement. And then like you have what you've said, like where you pre-buy something and it just really lets you down. Like how do you meet expectation, you know?
Yeah, which is really hard as somebody, you know, as us being streamers and content creators, people generally like it when you're being hyped and excited about video games, which is really hard to do these days. Very hard to get excited. But guys, I was worried that we weren't gonna because we didn't have a guest and we didn't really have any news topics to talk about. I was worried this was gonna be a shorter episode. We weren't gonna be able to fill the time, but it is coming up towards the end of the show. We're coming.
I said it.
Show and tell.
Pre-recording, I was like, we're easy gonna fill 2 hours. Like the three of us together getting excited about shit.
It's true. I mean, this one's been a bit of a weird one. We had a little bit of news in there. We had a little bit of a controversial topic, and a little bit of get to know us a little bit better. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this one though. This was pretty cool. It's nice to there's people probably who watch this who've never met any of us on Twitch before, so it's kind of nice to get to know.
Also, I'd like to put a disclaimer on the controversial topic. I was put on the spot. We did not pre-plan that.
Yes, no, we did not pre-plan that. That came out of nowhere.
I could spend 4 hours talking about that topic. So.
We definitely could. We have these conversations quite a lot offline, don't we? We have these, you know.
I feel like they're
political, if you want to call them political debates.
One of the things I was going to say is like some of the favorite conversations with the three of us when we've been sat together.
Sorry, my dogs are going nuts, which is.
Yeah, so some of my favorite conversations that we've had as like the three of us have been the conversations that we've disagreed. Like I feel like every time we come out with a little bit of better understanding of each other, I think, I mean, it's certainly for me, like I've respected you guys a little bit more every time we've talked about these things, because it does seem like there's no bastion of the internet left for like just
Discourse.
sensible
Yeah,
discourse
100%.
where people don't necessarily agree, but like we get along and we
Yeah,
have
exactly. Like we can have differing opinions and different worldviews, because we've said this before. Like Taylor and I, on some things, have radically different worldviews, don't we? But like we can both coexist and be friends and respect each other without agreeing 100% of the time. Like I don't know, I'm not the kind of person who only associates with people that agree with me. I never have been. I've always been up for, as long as you're not being a dick about it, as long as you can have a debate and an argument, and it's fine. I don't know, it's just the way that I operate things. But it seems that it's harder to find people with that mindset these days on both sides of every political spectrum. I'm not trying to push this on one group of people, because it's not. It's every group of people these days seems to be very much. Everything's polarized now. You're either on this team or that team, and you better not stray outside your team, otherwise Reddit will get you. I keep making that joke. about Reddit. One day Reddit's going to get me. I'm going to be got
if Reddit
by
just
Reddit.
Turns up, I'm like,
the whole of Reddit. We are here now.
What is it called? What is it called when you speak like your future and then it happens?
Like
You're
self-fulfilling
speaking it-
prophecy, or
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
That's you with Reddit.
that's me. Reddit's going to get me one day.
on the plus
gonna
side, if
definitely-
all of Reddit decides to just completely like yell at us, at least they'll do it in the comments. Plenty of views.
That's
like,
very, very true. That is very true.
I hope I don't get yelled at.
rage marketing.
I can't. I put myself out there, but I really can't handle it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, like, this is why, like, one of the reasons why I love doing this podcast is because we can have chat and we can talk about it. And so far, everybody that's got involved in my Twitch channel and everybody that's got involved in my YouTube channel, and I'm sure this is going to change at some point, has been very constructive. And that's, we can disagree as long as you're being constructive. And that's something that I try and curate, especially with my Twitch. I try and curate that atmosphere. If you're not going to fall in line with the constructiveness, then, you'll get banned. But yeah, should we talk about what we got coming up this week? Because you're not going to be here, Taylor. We will be having some content on my channel. We're gonna be playing Plague Innocence, aren't we? So there might already be an episode up. Actually, there might already be an episode of that available. I'm not sure yet. But we're gonna be playing some of that. So that'll be uploaded to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be playing some Rage on stream, but I will have already played. Again, this episode is way pre-recorded, so I've already will have played some Rage this week. So it's probably not even worth saying what we've got coming.
I was gonna say, are you saying what you're doing in the next for us? Like,
yeah. Next
say
week.
What you're going to do. Tell us what you're going to do in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
time.
in 2 weeks. What are you going to do?
Okay, no more time traveling. I'm putting an end to it right here.
Yeah, again, it's a
Right
bit hard when we're like.
I'll be away in Holland, but if you guys want to catch what I'm doing, I'm gonna probably post some of it on my Instagram, which is atarkic.tv. And you can find me at twitch.tv/atarkic. So
Perfect.
I'll be back there. I'll be back there when we return. But next week, we'll probably have someone fill in my spot for me and then a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can't spell autarkic, by the way, it's down there. You can see it on the screen. It's there. It's very difficult to figure out. But
it is a real English word, even though the English people seem to think it's not.
I haven't
Trump's
said it
got the
wasn't a real
advantage
word.
of he can see where he's supposed to be pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Like,
points to the wrong place.
No, I pointed
one
to the right place.
episode-
Okay.
There's one episode that I pointed to the right place, and there's like 3 episodes where I've pointed to just. So whenever someone says like, "Oh, so and so is gonna be doing this," I just pick a direction. I'll be like, and
It's
one
like
time
on
it was the
stream.
right place.
It's like I've been streaming for over a year, and it's like I still can't figure out. I'm trying to point to something behind me, right? But when you see yourself on the screen, it confuses your brain. It's like I clearly know that the thing is on this side, right? Because I know in my head it's on here, but I'm still like, it's over there somewhere. It's just the magic of streaming, I guess.
My PC overlay, my webcam's on one side, and my PlayStation 1 it's on the other.
Oh,
so
God.
one's reversed and one isn't.
Oh no.
Like I don't know why I've made it so difficult for myself, but I think it was because we were playing.
Because you're a massive liability.
It's because we were playing Dead by Daylight. That's why. Because normally my webcam's in like the bottom corner, and obviously Dead by Daylight it, like covers up the objectives and stuff. So I just moved it, and I didn't think it through whatsoever. So now,
Clearly.
depending on what I'm streaming, I have to point different directions.
So Elliott, talking about absolute liability, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/blindside UK, all one word. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/blindside_UK. And you can find me on Instagram if I quickly look up my Instagram because I don't know. It is blindside_UK. I don't use the Instagram
Goddamn
much.
character limits and stuff, man.
But
Dude,
I've been putting content on your Instagram for you.
yeah, I'm fine with it. It's okay. You're doing it.
Taylor is rapidly becoming our Instagram consultant at this point, let's be honest. But guys, if you have found this video, you have found my YouTube channel already. If you've found it, I don't know how you found it, but good job, you're here. If you want to catch me on Twitch, I stream on Twitch. I am just TheGrumpyBrit on Twitch. I stream on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and yeah, we've just launched a Twitch channel for the podcast. I don't know if we're going to use it yet or not, but we've launched it. We also have a Twitter for the podcast, which is the GGW podcast, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're at the GGW podcast. Look, it was all we could get. Everything else was taken. And then on Twitch,
the
we
word
are the same.
allowance.
Yeah, the word allowance. We're
Building
the
a
same on
brand in
Instagram, same on Twitter,
2019.
Twitter and Twitch. Everything's the same. It's the GGWP podcast. No, the GGW podcast. There we go. But yeah, thank you so much. Again, if you have liked this video, if you have made it all the way to the end, as usual, let me know down in the comments because we respect you the most. Because how the hell have you sat for 1 hour and 41 minutes listening
We
to us ramble
appreciate
on?
We
I appreciate it. I don't know
How
why.
can you not listen to us?
I know. I watch all of these back at least once, like just so I can, I quite
At least
quite
once
enjoy
I
it.
watch it.
But yeah, no,
I
thank you so
haven't-
much, guys. Leave a
haven't
leave a
watched
like
the
on the
last
video
one yet,
if you
but-
have enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments. We will be back next week without Taylor. We'll be Taylorless, which is much harder to say than I thought. But thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
guys.